Today we are going to factor by grouping. We have factored before in the past. This time we're going to be using the grouping method. Grouping comes in handy when you have an expression that has 4 terms. So notice, guys, example 1 has 4 terms. Before we only did factoring for things that had 3 terms. Now we're doing 4 terms. Okay, the very first step is to put it in standard form. Looking at example 1, is this in standard form? How do you know it's in standard form? Very good. The exponents are in order from greatest to least. Thank you, David. All right, so step 1 is done. Now let's check for a GCF. Guys, what can this 5, 25, 2, and 10 all be divided by? Really? 2 can be divided by 5? Is 1 the only number that they can all be divided by? 5 can't be divided by 2. Okay, so 1. All right, so we checked for a GCF. It's only 1, so that's nothing. We don't have to do it. Step 3, split the expression into 2 groups. Go ahead and draw a line. We're going to split it into 2 groups. That's step 3. Step number 4, factor out the GCF from each group. Now, if I only pay attention to these 2, is there a number they can both be divided by? 5. So everyone write 5. Whatever we divide by will go on the outside. Okay, now look. This has 3 x's. This has 2 x's. They can both give me at least how many x's? How many can this one give me? Up to 3, right? Because it only has 3 x's. This one can give me 2. So how many can they both give me? At least 2, good. So let's divide both of them by x squared. They can both give x squared. Let's see what is left over. We're going to put x squared on the outside because we're dividing by 5x squared. Okay, let's see what we have. I'm going to write this up here so you can see a visual. I have 5 in the numerator and 3 x's for x cubed. In the denominator, I have 5 and 2 x's because that's an x squared. Does that make sense? Okay, the 5's cancel, these x's cancel. What's left? So that's what's left over, just an x. I'll draw this one so we can get a visual. I have 25 in the numerator and 2 x's, and then I have 5 and 2 x's. This cancels, this cancels. What is 25 divided by 5? So this is what's left over. We factored out the GCF. We took out 5x squared. Now let's do the other side. What can both of these be divided by? 2. So 2 will go on the outside. Can they both give me an x? No, this one does not have an x. So that's it. We're just going to divide both of them by 2. These cancel. I'm left with x. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Let's pause. We did step 4. We took out the GCF from each group. Now, once you get here, you know you're right if these match. That's how you know you're correct, that you're on the right track. Okay, let's do step 5. Write down the binomial they have in common. What do they have in common? X plus 5. We're going to write down what they have in common in one set of parentheses. What this means, guys, you're going to put in one set of the parentheses, you're going to put x plus 5. Whatever is in common, put that right here. That's step number 5. Step number 6. Your GCFs, which was 5x squared and 2, will go into the other set of parentheses. Long story short, whatever's on the outside, put into one parentheses. Whatever is the same, put in another parentheses. Okay? That's it. We factored it. How can we check and see if we're right or not? FOIL, good. We can multiply it out. So guys, look real quick. You don't have to write this down, just look. 5x squared times x is what? 5x cubed? Oh, that's what they have up here. What's 5x squared times 5? 25x squared? That's what's here. What is 2 times x? 2x, that's what's right here. 2 times 5 is 10. So that's why we know that these are the correct factors. Because if you multiplied it back out, you'd get what you started out with. Okay? So the linear term is x plus 5. X plus 5 is the linear term. Because the power here is just a 1. If it has just a single x, it's linear. If it has a squared, it is quadratic. So this is the quadratic factor. X plus 5 is your linear factor. Is this in standard form? Nope, everyone put it in standard form, please. Nice job. So you should have this on your paper. Okay, this is now in order. Highest degree comes first, and so on. Okay, can all of these be divided by something? The same thing? Just one? Anything else? No? Okay. All right, so there's no GCF yet. What do we do now? Yep, we're going to split it. We'll do the GCF of this side. What can these both be divided by? X squared. They can both give an x squared. Whatever you divide by will go on the outside. Let me draw you a picture. What this looks like is 3x's on the top, 2x's on the bottom. Those cancel. What's left? An x. What's left over here? Just a 2. Okay, now let's do the other side. What can these both be divided by? 3. Whatever you divide by goes on the outside. What's left over is x plus, what should this be? 2, because 6 divided by 3 is 2. How do we know we did this correctly? Because they match. They both have an x plus 2 in the parentheses. So whatever matches will go in one parentheses, and whatever we factored out will go on the other parentheses. Which one is linear and which one is quadratic? Yes, yes. The squared is quadratic, just a single x is linear. That's it. All right, you should have rewritten this one. Is there something all 4 of these terms can be divided by? 2?
Nice.
Remember, this is a 1 right here. That can't be divided by 2. I heard someone say x. Good. Good, Akiva. So all of these have an x to contribute. They all have an x. So that means we're going to divide all of these by an x. So x will go on the outside because that is what we're dividing by. What am I left with? Good. Y'all got it. Minus 12x squared plus x minus 6. There we go. Okay, so example 3 is a little bit different from the previous 2 examples. we were able to divide by something in the beginning, okay? Always check if you can simplify it before you start. Now what do I do? What do I do now? Split it, and then you do the process. What can both of these be divided by? A 2, what else? And an x squared. So we'll have 2x squared. These 2's cancel. What's left over? X. Good, David. These cancel. I have a 6. Because 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now, guys, I don't want us to forget that we have an x on the outside here. We're going to add that at the very end. Just don't forget it. It's still there. Right now, we're just focusing on this part, okay? All right, let's do the other side. Can these be divided by something? Just one? Yeah, only just one. But you're right, Paisley. So we're just going to do a 1, okay? We don't want to leave it blank. So I'm going to put a 1 on the outside. And it stays the same. X divided by 1 is just x. 6 divided by 1 is just 6. But we just don't want to leave this spot blank. Because then y'all are going to ask, well, I have 2x squared right here, but what do I put right here? Just put +1. The outside goes in one parenthesis. Whatever matches goes in the second parenthesis. And that's it. Now, let's remember what we pulled out in the beginning. We had an x in the very beginning. We're going to put that x right there. Don't forget it. Okay, which one's quadratic? Good. 2x squared is the quadratic, +1. And what's linear? There's another x up there. This one is also linear. So now you have 2 linears. Because this is your whole answer. This is your factored answer. You have x as one factor and x minus 6 as your other linear factor. And then this one is your quadratic factor. Okay, so for this one, we should have divided everything by 2, and they can also all give me an x. So that means on the outside, I'll have a 2x. Those 2's cancel, I'll have x cubed. This will become x squared. This will become 2x, and this will become a -2. We split it down the middle. This can be divided by x squared. That will go on the outside. I'm left with x minus, this cancels out, it's just 1. We're going to divide this side both by 2. So 2 will be on the outside. We'll have x minus, those cancel, leaving just 1. So I know I did this correctly because these match. Whatever matches will go in one parentheses. Whatever is on the outside goes in the second parentheses. Now, remember this 2x that was on the outside? Don't forget about it. It'll be right here. So this is your final answer. We have factored this original polynomial. So this is the factors. Now let's identify the different parts of the factors. 2x and x minus 1 are your linear factors. So these are linear. And x squared plus 2, this one is your quadratic.